Welcome in, Jake West, Director of Team F1 Sports, joined by Caleb Tallman and Tim Tao. Tim's going to join us for a little bit and highlight the Phantom versus Fitzgerald game. This is the North Georgia edition of the Friday Night Pressbox presented by Team FYN Sports. Tim, appreciate you joining us this week. Big revenge game for your Rebels.
Yeah, it's huge, Jake. And you said the word big, and it is big. You don't want to make, you don't want to go into a week, making it bigger than what it is. But I mean, there's no secret. This is a big game. Fitzgerald, ended Phantom season last year, but in the third round, now they meet again in the second round. Fitzgerald, a 2 seed out of their region, losing to Thomasville. And so that's the reason why they're a 2 seed. Thomasville, very good football team.
Oh yeah.
And Fannin, of course, the 1 seed out of Region 7. And that's how these schools meet in the second round. So it's going to be a fun one on Friday night in Blue Ridge at home.
Yeah, Fitzgerald comes in this game ranked third best team in AA football. They're only behind Thomasville and Raven County. So if Fannin County is able to pull the upset, and according to Cal Preps, it would be one heck of an upset if they are able to win on Friday night, then that would kind of solidify them and get them the respect that we've been talking about they should have gotten along.
Yeah, it will, Jake. And I tell you what, just a player to watch out for Fitzgerald is E.J. Lotsey, a linebacker committed to the University of Florida. He's going to be all over the field for Fitzgerald. So that's definitely a player to watch out for. But you talk about the respect that Fannin County should deserve, and what Coach Cheatham has done the last 2 years now. He's won 20 games. He's won 20 games in 2 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's now second on the all-time career wins list in Fannin County, trailing Clark Drennan. Coach Drennan had 46 wins. Cheatham is now at I should have that in front of me, but I don't. Either way, you can go back. There's an article we done last week on Team F1 Sports about Fannin. But Cheatham is now second on the all-time career wins list in Fannin County, and what he has done has just been remarkable. And this senior class this year is the first senior class in Fannin County history to make the playoffs all 4 years. So in the whole tradition of Fannin County football, even East Fannin and West Fannin, this is the only senior class that's made the playoffs in all 4 years of their career. So they're not going to be intimidated. Their freshman year, they played at Calhoun. And Calhoun was a powerhouse, still is a powerhouse in Georgia. Their sophomore year, they went down to Buck Godfrey Stadium in Cedar Grove. Played one of the best teams in the state in Cedar Grove and played competitively in the playoffs. Last year, they played against Pace Academy. Was nobody really gave them a shot there. They pulled the win there. Heard County comes in with Chief Borders, another Florida commit at linebacker. Everybody's like, the road's going to end for Fannin. They won that game. Last year against Fitzgerald, they played a very, very good team. Luke Holloway was a little bit banged up, but they still played tough. And then in the second half, it kind of got away from them. But this team is ready for this game. They've been in big game environments. It's not going to be big enough for them. They're going to be ready to play. And just talking to the coaches and the players this week, there's a, they're ready. I have never seen these guys more.
We got Tim cutting in and out just a little bit. We'll see if we can get him back shortly. But let's see.
I got you.
Okay, got Tim back. Go ahead.
I lost service right there. Sorry, technology.
You were saying the mentality of the Phantom football team when we lost you. You'd never seen them the way they are.
Yeah. Just talking to some of the players and the coaches, this week, I've just never seen them more focused at the task at hand, and that says a lot about the leadership from the coaches and the players.
Who, for who for Fannin, we know Seth Reese is going to have a good game. But I mean, Lynch last week, if you read your article, Lynch broke out onto the scene, and I think each week for Fannin, they're going to need somebody else to step up and contribute. Lynch obviously going to have a really big game again this week, and you can talk about him. But who else for Fannin is going to have to step up and come out of the shadows if they're going to pull off this upset?
Yeah, and I am going through a shaky service spot right here, so I may lose you. If not, I'll get you back in 30 seconds. But I do want to mention two guys who I think gotta have huge games for Fannin County. Logan Long on that offensive line and the defensive line. I think he is a big key factor in slowing down that Fitzgerald run game, and obviously, you know, given our backs and receivers. Giving our backs some running holes or quarterback reads, time to throw. Case and Owensby, obviously, you know, there's no secret. He's got to have a big game. But, you know, Corbin Davenport played well, and they played well the last few weeks. And there's been some forced fumbles there. But, and obviously, Andrew Waldrop, Cade Sands at linebacker, too, Sawyer Moreland. But I think Logan Long's, not to put pressure on Logan Long, but, you know, I think he's got to clog up those holes up the middle and have a big game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we saw the backs get it done on the ground all year. But one thing we saw kind of last week, I think you told me Seth Reese passed for his career high in passing yards last week. And is that something that they can exploit against this Fitzgerald defense? Because I think this is going to be the battle of two defenses. Who's going to be able to score on the other? Because Fannin County, kind of unsung, has been able to hang their hat on how good their defense has been. But Fitzgerald's also kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, I think you can say the same thing for Fitzgerald, too. You know, maybe Fitzgerald can have some success on Fannin throwing the football. We all know Fitzgerald is a run-heavy team. I mean, they ran down our throats last year, you know. But this is it's a lot of the same guys are back from Fannin County, and they remember that game, and it's left a bad taste in their mouth ever since. But I don't want to sit here and talk about Fannin County, you know, revenge game and all this stuff. Fitzgerald's a good football team, and and Tucker Pruitt, you know, the head coach, he said on the podcast on the AJC this week, you know, last year's games don't mean nothing about this year's. You know, every team is new, every game is new, but it's still in the back of your mind. But I mean, this is a brand new Fannin County football team. It's a brand new Fitzgerald team, but there are a lot of similarities from both teams in the last two seasons. So they're a well coached football team. They're gonna make the drive up. I think they're sending a few players up on Thursday, from what I've heard, and the rest of their team is coming up on Friday. They won't be able to sleep in their own bed, but they are going to be coming up here, from what I've heard, early. But they still got to drive up here. That's a long drive. But man, it's going to be a special game. The line. If you look at Fitzgerald, there's some games I just don't see how. The only thing I disagree with, I'm not discrediting Fitzgerald. They're a great football team, and they should be the favorite to win this game. They should be, and they're a reason why they're ranked number 3rd. But the Cal Prep line, the mass grading line, I don't agree with. And Fannin County and the Fannin County players and coaches, they probably don't agree with it either. So, but they have a chance to prove that they're one of the state's lead on Friday night, and it all starts at 7:30 in round 2 of the state playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Tim, thanks for coming on. We'll let you rest that voice. You've got to be able to get the crowd going. If you have not been to Blue Ridge for a Fannin County home football game this year, what an atmosphere it is with the light show and the swag surfing that the students do, and the student section's great. Tim, you do a great job up in the booth. It's a really great atmosphere with the cannons and everything that Coach Cheatham and all of the Touchdown Club and everybody's been able to put together. I mean, that's something we didn't really touch on, but that's going to play. You mentioned not being able to sleep in your own bed, but coming out, seeing the smoke, walking out of the big Fannin football helmet. I mean, there's an intimidation factor now coming and playing in Blue Ridge that there wasn't 5-10 years ago.
And I hope Chris Parker heard that, what you just said, Jake, because I do think Fannin County has the best stadium in North Georgia. But, man, what's so special about Fannin County, and I'm going to get off here and shut up, but the administration's been amazing this year. What a great student section, the student body, the fan support. It's truly one family. Fannin County's been using the hashtag We Are Fannin, and we are. We're all as one. There were so many football players last night in the student section for a girls basketball game. Everybody's supporting everybody. It's a great time to be a Fannin County Rebel.
Yeah, well, like I said, appreciate you coming on, Tim, and obviously we're pulling for the Rebels on Friday night. Hope they can pull off the upset. I'm sure you mentioned it in some of those players' minds. It's not going to be an upset. It's going to be they're going in there to take care of business. But thanks again, Tim, and we'll see you Friday night at 7:30.
Hey, thanks for having me. Go Rebels.
Good stuff by Tim Tao, voice of the Fannin County Rebels right there. Caleb, I know you've kind of started keeping up with some North Georgia football. What's your what do you think is going to happen on Friday night? Fannin County going to be able to pull off the upset and get their revenge?
I don't even think it's an upset, Jake. I think Fitzgerald caught Fannin at the right time last year. I think everyone can agree on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, Fannin was really banged up last year.
And I think, one of the things that's different is Fannin's not coming in undefeated this year. And I almost think that's a good thing. I think, Fannin's had to play and win a lot of close football games this year. And they've been tested, and they even lost a close football game, which sometimes, and you know this because you're a Murphy Bulldog. Sometimes you lose more, or you learn more in a loss than you do a win.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you win a game that maybe you shouldn't have, you can say, "Well, I got away with playing like this. I got away with playing like that." But they had a tough loss to Sonorville, who's a really good football team. And then, then they had a bunch of games this year where it was like, we talked about it. This is the region championship this week. No, this one's going to be. No, this one's going to be. And, they blew out a couple teams in those matchups. And then they had a really close game with Dade County that probably shouldn't have been that close, but they found a way to win it. And that's why they're playing at home on Friday night. So it's just interesting in that aspect, I'll say.
Yeah. I think for me, if Fannin County is going to be able to win this football game, they've got to come out early. And this is something I say a lot, but it's something that I really believe. They've got to come out early, and they've got to punch Fitzgerald in the mouth. Fitzgerald doesn't need to know what hit them. They need to be looking up in the second quarter down by 14. Fannin County needs to come out. They need to fly around. They need to put hats on footballs. They need to do everything they can to make Fitzgerald uncomfortable, and a lot of that's going to come with the great environment that's already created for them just from the fans and the atmosphere in Blue Ridge.
Yeah, wholeheartedly. And I think one of the things we'll see is, I remember talking to Tim about it, I think you're going to see a lot of Seth Reese on defense, which they've saved this year. Have not had to use them a whole lot there, but I think you're going to see more of it. And last year I felt bad because Luke Holloway was banged up. He wasn't his full self in that playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, he played the third round playoff game on a broken foot and played okay. I mean, he didn't play great, but he played on a broken foot.
Yeah, and so when you look at that, I think one of the things you see is, golly, I just don't see Seth Reese going out this early in the playoffs. I think when you've got that talented of a quarterback that's going to play both ways, you put the game on his shoulders a little bit, and you know what? He's one of those rare kids that when you put the game on his shoulders, the weight's not too much for him.
Yeah, he wants to be in the spotlight. He wants it to all come down to him making a play, and we'll see. But back to what I was saying, they've got to come out and they've got to be up early. They can't go into halftime, I don't think, down, because Fitzgerald is a team that when they put their foot on the gas, if you let them put their foot on the gas, they're not going to take it off. And Fitzgerald is a very good football team. And if Fannin is able to come away with an upset here, I think Fannin County can ride this win into the state championship. But it all starts on Friday night, like Tim said, at 7:30 in Blue Ridge. We'll see. I mean, that's why they play the game. Let's take a quick break, Caleb, and we'll be back. We'll hear from Harrelson County head coach Scott Peavy and his game against Northeast Macon, and then we'll talk a little bit about Dawson, and that'll be it for us this week. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be back.
At Circuit World, we offer a wide selection of major appliances, name brands like Whirlpool, LG, Frigidaire, and more. Looking for furniture? Come by and browse our showroom or check out the Endless Aisle, a touchscreen kiosk with thousands of options. Need electronics, gaming computers, laptops, desktops, tablets? We have it all. OLED or QLED, 4K or high def. We have the selection to get you the TV of your dreams. And don't forget, at Circuit World, your credit is always good. So ask about our convenient payment options and 120 days, same as cash. Come see us today at one of our 5 area locations.
It's an opportunity you can't miss. Days Chevrolet in Jasper is stepping up and paying top dollar for your trade-in. Any make, any model. Days wants it, and we're paying top dollar to get it. So, what'll you do with all that cash? Shop for your new Chevy at DaysChevroletJasper.com. New vehicles are arriving weekly, or shop from our great selection of pre-owned inventory. Don't delay. Come get cash for your vehicle today at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done.
Find new roads.
Hey girl, back so soon?
Yeah.
Third time this morning.
Feeling too familiar with the bathroom these days? It's not just you.
Hey girl, look who made it 15 minutes.
At Erlanger Urology, we make it easy to talk about overactive bladder and treatments that work.
Hey girl, you not coming in?
No, I'm good.
Well, okay. I'll be here, because I'm stuck.
Learn more at itsnotjustyou.com. Erlanger Urology.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Welcome back, Jake West, Director, Team F1 Sports, joined by Caleb Tallman. Caleb, another good game in 2A we've got coming up is going to be Harrelson County versus Northeast, a battle that I think Cal Preps has said is going to be a one-point ball game. I think they've got Harrelson County favored 21-20. So maybe the tightest, best ball game from the outside looking in 2A. Northeast comes in at 8-3. Not the greatest season as they've got losses to Dougherty, BCHS, and Lamar County, but those are all very good football teams. And Northeast is another very good football team. And we talk about them in the interview we did with head coach Scott Peavy of Harrelson County Rebels. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But Northeast comes in to this game 7th in AA, and Harrelson County's 5th. So it's 2 teams. I mean, they're right there. And I venture to guess whoever wins this game is going to bump up to 3rd or 4th, especially if Fannin beats Fitzgerald. So we'll see. Let's take a listen to what head coach Scott Peavy had to say about this matchup between his Harrelson County Rebels and Northeast Macon Raiders.
Absolutely. I got it pulling up here. And if you want to check out the interview as well any other time, go check out our Team F1 Sports YouTube page, as it's got that and then some when it comes to Western North Carolina and North Georgia football.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Welcome in. This is Jake West, Director of Team FY and Sports, joined by head coach of the Harrelson County Rebels, Scott Peavy. Coach, appreciate you sitting down with us today. Awesome season you guys are having. 10-1 on the year, and you've played some really good football teams along the way. Let's go back and look at the only blemish on your record against Manchester. It's never good to lose a football game, but maybe down the stretch, I mean, maybe that was good. What did you guys learn from that close loss on the road?
Well, we learned how to get our tail whipped. They lined up and whipped us, and we kind of pride ourselves on being physical and tough and all those things, and everything that we say we are. Manchester was when we played them, and they just lined up and whipped us, and it's one of those things that hopefully we learn from it, and we realize that if we don't figure it out, it's going to be a long year.
Well, it seems like you did figure it out, because speaking of whipping, you went into the Callaway game, had to go to Hogansville. Nobody was giving you guys much of a chance. I mean, you put a whipping on Callaway in that one. I mean, that just shows how far you guys were able to come. I mean, just heading into this year, I know you guys have faced a lot of adversity, and you didn't really get a lot of respect heading into the year. But now, I mean, it's got to be something to do with the locker room, and I know you've got a lot of good senior leaders. Just talk about how much they've meant to the team, and they've changed kind of the outlook on this year. And I mean, nobody gave you a chance heading into that Callaway game. You come away with a 42-14 win. That's got to come down to just seniors that know, hey, it doesn't matter who we're playing, we're going to get up and we're going to be ready for this football game.
Yeah, we've tried to put them in a situation over the past few years to play as good a competition as we could play, to get us prepared for those kind of moments. And we played Cedar Grove in the spring, and everybody was asking why we did that. What are you thinking? And we played Dublin in a scrimmage also, and we just try to get our kids in those situations that we're not going to be afraid of anybody, and that we can play against anybody if we'll come together and play as a team, that we can compete with anybody. And I hope we've proved that. And it's crazy thing about high school football, you got to prove it in week and week out, and which is good. And I'm excited about our kids. We got a tremendous group of kids in the locker room. It started a few years ago. We had a really good player named Traylon Shepard, and he kind of showed our kids how to work and how to compete. And we won some games that we probably should have never won. And, and it just kind of got better from there. And we're at a school with probably limited athlete wise, but we've kind of got into a system that gives our kids a chance. And we really sell them on the fact that if we'll outwork people in the weight room, that we'll have a chance. And it's, through these kids' hard work and effort over these years that, they put together a string of wins. It's the fourth year in a row we've been in the playoffs. And so we finally broke another barrier by winning the region championship, and also winning a home playoff game. It's the first playoff win, no matter home or not, in school history. And we won one at home in front of a tremendous crowd, and we have great support. So it's just been good, man. Everybody is behind us, and it's a great community to win football games in.
Coach, how long have you been at Harrelson County?
This is my fifth year, and I was here a long time ago in a really, really tough region, and I left, and then I most of my career has been in Alabama, and then a guy that was on my staff years ago is now the superintendent. And when they had an opening, they called me, and it's a great place to live. It's a great place to be. There's great people here. It was just a tough place to coach football, and I felt like at the time that they're in a region that they could compete with. If we could kind of figure some things out, we might have a chance to compete with those people. And thankfully, it worked out, and we've had some success. And because the kids are tremendous here, they'll work, and they're kind of throwback kids. They're yes sir, no sir. If I told them to be here at 4:30 tomorrow morning, they'll all be here, ready, going crazy in the stadium waiting on me. So it's been a great place.
Before we get into this coming week's game, I noticed you got another, at least as far as Max Preps goes, it says you've got another PV on your staff. Is that your son?
I do. I was very fortunate. I was able to coach my son, through his whole playing career. and then he went and played football at the University of North Alabama, and then he just finished. And at the time he finished, we happened to have an opening in our school system as a middle school PE teacher, and what a blessing, as a dad to be able to coach your son and then to coach with your son. And he's a big part of our success here. He's a really sharp young coach, and does a great job with our special teams. And he does, everybody needs that young swaggy guy, and he's done that for us. And he's brought that, because I'm old and I lost all that years ago. So very thankful to have him and my whole coaching staff. I've been very, very fortunate to have some really, really good coaches they're probably better people than they are coaches, and they're tremendous football coaches. So very, very blessed to be able to hire all those guys and put together a great group of leaders.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure that is special every Friday night. You mentioned you've got kind of throwback kids. One kid can't get through a whole interview without talking about your quarterback, Clay Hyatt. That's definitely a throwback kid right there.
Yeah, he is. And the crazy thing is, he's got very, very few offers. And, I just told you I was old. I must have missed the boat on what a football player looks like because, they just came out with the player of the year, whatever, Mr. Football, whatever that is. And he's not on that list. And I'm like, how is a kid who has over 1,900 yards rushing, 30 rushing touchdowns, got over 600 yards passing, 14 touchdowns. He's got 120 something tackles. He's got 14 sacks. How's that guy not in the running for Mr. Football? I'd like to see what those other guys are like. They must be unreal on that list. And that, I'm being sarcastic. He's a great football player. He's a great kid. He's a 98 grade point average. He's a 1,100 on the SAT. He was in the state finals in wrestling. He's ranked #1 in wrestling. He's a 2-time state champion powerlifter guy. He's a all-region baseball player. He's everything, and I must be missing what college coaches are looking for because he's 6'1", 215 pounds. It's not like he's undersized, and he's a war daddy now. I mean, every time we need big plays, that kid makes them, and
that's
a leader.
One of the things I wanted to mention. I mean, he's your quarterback, but he's not your typical preppy quarterback. I mean, on defense, the kid's a menace. He's not afraid to just play smash mouth football and break you over his leg.
That's right. He's just such a physical football player. How many coaches people think you're crazy. You playing your quarterback and inside linebacker, but we're trying to give the kid a chance to play somewhere and showcase his skills, and so, he plays in the box. He's a stack linebacker on the inside, and he's just a player. He's just a football player. And, I wish more colleges would see that, or at least just explain to me what they don't see in him, because, it baffles us. And I made a tweet this morning. They came out with that list, the Atlanta Touchdown Club. And I asked how that kid couldn't be on the list. There's a kid from Tryon, Rob Brown. He's had 2 400-yard rushing games in a row. He's got over 2,500 yards rushing. He's not on the list. Kid from South Atlanta's not on the list. The 2,400-yard rusher. It's crazy to me. I don't understand that either. But it is what it is. But the fact is there's some really good football players out there, and we've got a few of them ourselves, and we're just hoping that we keep playing hard. We can keep the longer we play, more people might recognize them.
Yeah, that's true. It seems like, especially in around this area, it's hard for those kids to get noticed.
It is, and it's such a hard time in college football. With kids got an extra year, and they can transfer, this whole transfer portal thing, and all those things that make it really hard on kids to get recruited now. And and there's so many good football players. I understand that. I just the communication factor between coaches and the colleges has been very hard to understand. But they got a difficult job too. I get it. But like I said, when the stats kind of speak for themselves, what the kid can do.
Moving on to this week, you've got Northeast Macon, second round of the playoffs. How's practice been this week for you guys?
It's been great. I think everybody's advice to me is, Coach, don't let your team look at them. I was like, don't look at them. They're so big. Don't even let them look down the other end of the field when they're warming up. So that's a little intimidating, but yeah, I've seen them on film, and they are a very, very large group of kids, and they do a great job coaching them. Got lots of athletes, so got a huge challenge ahead of us, and at our home stadium, and but man, we couldn't be any more excited to have that opportunity.
Yeah, you mentioned it is at home. You mentioned earlier also you guys got your first playoff win in history last week. So it's awesome to play again at home in the second round. You also mentioned how big this team is, but I still think you match up pretty well with them. As far as game plan wise, what do you expect from them? Because you play hard nosed football, and they've got big guys that also play hard nosed football. So it's kind of like just a clash of the Titans.
It is, and they've got a lot of speed. They've got an outside receiver committed to Marshall, 6'4" receiver, really good looking athlete. They've got a quarterback that's committed to play basketball at Mercer. They've got an offensive lineman, I think he's committed to Georgia, the left tackle. They got a nose guard committed to Troy, and they got a free safety committed to Georgia State. So we just got a bunch of kids that just play really hard and love the game. And so we're just, we're going to see how those matchups work out for us. But it's a huge challenge for sure, when you're playing those kind of kids. And, they're about 6'5", 300 plus across the front. And same with the defensive line. They're all 310, 315. They're big football team. And so it's going to present a big challenge. The last time we played some big guys up front, didn't work out well for us. So hopefully we've learned some things and can make some adjustments to give ourselves a chance.
Yeah, it definitely seems like you guys have come a really long way from that first loss. Looks like a completely different football team out there, and credit to you, coach, and your coaching staff for what you've been able to do. And you mentioned you've been there for 5 years. There's been seems like a complete culture change, and we're pulling for you to just keep that culture change going and keep on fighting the good fight. It seems like you're teaching these guys how to not just be good football players, but also be great young men.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we do spend a lot of time doing that in the culture change. Our community, if people are out here listening and they don't know what game to go to, if they want to have some fun, this is a fun place to play football. And our crowd, we have 10,000 cowbells ringing, and we have a jumbotron with our announcer is unbelievable. He is awesome. And we have a great atmosphere for football. It is a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun to coach these guys when they play their guts out and the community's behind them 100%. And so we've been really blessed to be in the situation that we're in. And so hopefully we can continue, because we're having the time of our life.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like it. Well, Coach, we'll be pulling for you Friday. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to sit down and talk with us. Go Rebels.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much for your, putting some publicity to our kids and our community, and very grateful for that. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Coach.
Take care.
At Circuit World, we offer a wide selection of major appliances, name brands like Whirlpool, LG, Frigidaire, and more. Looking for furniture? Come by and browse our showroom or check out the endless aisle, a touchscreen kiosk with thousands of options. Need electronics, gaming computers, laptops, desktops, tablets? We have it all. OLED or QLED, 4K or high def. We have the selection to get you the TV of your dreams. And don't forget, at Circuit World, your credit is always good. So ask about our convenient payment options and 120 days, same as cash. Come see us today at one of our 5 area locations.
It's an opportunity you can't miss. Days Chevrolet in Jasper is stepping up and paying top dollar for your trade-in. Any make, any model. Days wants it, and we're paying top dollar to get it. So, what'll you do with all that cash? Shop for your new Chevy at DaveChevroletJasper.com. New vehicles are arriving weekly, or shop from our great selection of pre-owned inventory. Don't delay. Come get cash for your vehicle today at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done.
Find new roads.
Hey, girl. Back so soon?
Yeah.
Third time this morning.
Feeling too familiar with the bathroom these days? It's not just you.
Hey, girl. Look who made it 15 minutes.
At Erlanger Urology, we make it easy to talk about overactive bladder and treatments that work.
Hey, girl. You not coming in?
No, I'm good.
Well, okay. I'll be here, because I'm stuck.
Learn more at itsnotjustyou.com. Erlanger Urology.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Welcome back. Jake West, Director of Team FYN Sports, joined by Caleb Tallman. This is the North Georgia edition of the Friday Night Press Box presented by Team FYN Sports. Caleb, that was great stuff from Coach Peavy there, the Harrelson County Rebels. He said it himself, throwback, old guy, old-time football coach, and you can tell by watching his football team that he's instilled that kind of mentality in his players.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, they've got some underclassmen, but mainly they're an upper-class group. They got a lot of seniors, type of years that they build for, I would assume, down in Harrelson County. Even though they got a consistently strong program, this is one of those years where going into it, everyone had to be thinking this was going to be a big-time year for them. Don't you agree?
Yeah, for sure. And, they've got their leader, Clay Hyatt. Kid does everything. You heard him say he's the favorite to win state in wrestling. He's an all-region baseball player. Just a do-it-all kid, and he's a great kid on and off the field. After talking to Coach Peavy, he's got me fired up for the Harrelson County Rebels. I think they're going to pull it off and beat Northeast Macon. I don't care how big they are. I think Harrelson County is going to come away with a win in this one.
Yeah, they kind of just remind me old school football team, and there's a reason that when you look at these Super Bowl winning teams, I don't care if they've got Tom Brady or not. When you look at these college teams that win the championships, they all have great defenses that tackle well. Championship teams don't miss a bunch of tackles, and that's what Harrelson County does. They're going to wrap you up. They're going to put you on the ground, and they're going to make you earn every single yard. And then offensively, man, it's like they just chip away at it. And by the fourth quarter, I don't care how much bigger this other team might be, that other team's going to be tired of tackling the downhill rushing attack from Harrelson.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, I think Harrelson comes away with a win in this one. It's a pick 'em, basically, a 21-20 game projected. I think Harrelson wins this one by a touchdown just because they're more physical than Northeast Macon, even though Northeast Macon may be bigger. Harrelson County plays a style of mountain football that I don't think a team from Macon County is going to be expecting. So I'm going to pick Harrelson County to win that one. Another team that's got a tough task ahead of them is Dawson County. And I think you've read up on them and their opponent. What do you expect to see in Dawson County Tigers' second-round playoff game?
Yeah, they're traveling away. They're playing at Pierce County. Pierce County is a really good football team. But I think Dawson's a really good football team. Dawson played some really good teams to start the year, Jake. And to be honest, I think a lot of people were down on them because they started the year 0-3. And I don't care what teams they played. No one would have expected a really good Dawson football team to start the year 0-3. Yeah. But since that time, Dawson has gone 7-1 since those first 3 losses, with their only loss coming to a really good Cherokee Bluff team. And they've beat some really good football teams, beat Sandy
Yeah.
Creek last week in the first round of the playoffs. And when you go look at Dawson County, I think part of what you see is Zach Holtzclaw, their quarterback's playing his best football of the year right now. He's passed for close to 2,000 yards this year. He's at 1986. So I'm sure we will see him pass that 2,000-yard threshold on Friday night. It's shaping up. The weather currently looks like it's going to be good. I know we're still a little bit away from that. But, I mean, when you got an air-out passing attack like Dawson County, you feel like if you go into this game and you need to win a shootout, you feel like you can go right with them winning a shootout. Holtzclaw last week in the first-round playoff game was 11 of 18. Only threw it for 142 yards, not a massive number, but had 3 passing touchdowns and no interceptions, Jake. He had 125 quarterback rating, which is nothing to snub your nose at. I mean, he's playing really well. He does have 9 interceptions on the year, but when he plays like he plays last week and takes care of the football, Dawson's just a really tough team to beat. Now, getting over to Sandy Creek. Sandy Creek's a really good football team too, Jake. Or not Sandy Creek, excuse me, Pierce County. They played Sandy Creek last week. Pierce County's a really good football team too. There's a reason why they are 9-2 on the year. They won their playoff game huge last week over Windsor Forest out of Savannah. They beat them 42-0, protected home field. And they got a good home environment, of course. And then, when you look at their team, they're a rushing attack, Jake. They've got 2 quarterbacks this year that have thrown for a total of 589 yards, but only 53 passing attempts, right? And so 370 rushing attempts. I mean, and then the interesting thing is they've got a really good junior running back in DJ Bell. He's got, get this, he's got 140 carries on the year, Jake. And he's got 1,078 yards, but he's only played in 6 games, according to the Max Preps. And so obviously he got banged up at some point this year. And it's hard to find out about some of these teams throughout the year. He also plays quarterback for them when he's healthy. But he just is a do-it-all guy. He rushed 29 times for 278 yards last week. Between passing and rushing, he accounted for like 97% of Pierce County's offense. So if you're Dawson, I think one thing that does help you is the fact that Pierce County is a one-player team. If you can limit one guy, you're going to beat them. Now, granted, very few, when Bell has been healthy, have they been able to limit him. So go ahead, give us your thoughts on the game as I'm getting some more stuff up here. But I think this game's shaping up to be a lot closer than I think most would think.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It just depends on what Dawson County team shows up, and I know we say that a lot, but Dawson County, if they don't get off the bus, they could get ran out of that stadium because they're playing a very, very good football team on Friday night. But Dawson County, Sid Maxwell, their head coach, one of the best head coaches in all of Georgia. So I'm sure he's going to have his team ready. What's your prediction going to be for this one, Co?
I really do. I think just because they're a little more diverse, and I think they've played really well coming down the stretch of the year, and we're not quite sure on the health of Pierce County's Bell. He played a ton last week, but you also just mentioned Sid Maxwell, how fantastic of a coach he is. I don't think he's going to allow a single player to beat him. And that's what Pierce County is. So I'm going to give it to Dawson. I think Dawson is going to go down and pull off the upset. I think it's going to be really close, though. But I think what you're going to see is in a game late that's really close, a team that can pass the football and has a little more balance. I just don't know that late in a game if Pierce needs a quick score, if their offense is built to do that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think I agree with you. If it's a close ball game, Dawson will win. But on the other hand, if Pierce comes out and jumps out to an early lead, I don't think Dawson is going to have the fight in them to come back and win a game on the road because we haven't seen them be able to do that this year. But if they can keep it close, which I think they will, then they definitely have a chance to win this ball game. You can't say enough about how good of a coach Sid Maxwell is and what he's been able to do with that Dawson County program. So who knows? We'll see. That's why they play the game, Kel.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, I mean, we got 3 really good football games in North Georgia on Friday. I mean, they're not all in North Georgia, but 3 North Georgia teams that we cover. So make sure, folks, you're checking out our Team F-Line Sports Twitter and Facebook accounts and just keeping up to date with all the news as well as all of our wrap-up articles that will come out over the weekend. And, of course, you'll have Jake and I, maybe Tim will hop back in and some others, and we'll be back to discuss what happened next week.
Yeah, for sure, Caleb. Thanks for joining us this week. This has been the North Georgia edition of the Friday Night Press Box presented by Team FYN Sports. Get out on Friday night and go watch a North Georgia football team play in round 2 of the GHSA state playoffs. Good games all around. So, Caleb, thanks for joining us. That's going to do it for us this week.